Yes, the OpenDoor CEO just came in and said, hey guys, there's much more products we will develop and we will make money on, not only the houses. And this is important. Watch now.
Welcome to the game, I'm the wolf of Dubai.
Welcome to a brand new video. My name is Danny and I'm looking for stocks that go absolutely ballistic, okay? And I was right on so many things. I can, say it all over again. Tesla, for example, I bought at 23, okay? It went down to 11. I bought more, okay? Rest is history because the stock went up to 500, right? So, and my subscribers bought even houses and apartments. So you should really listen and make your own research about the companies that I share because those are handpicked companies. And I believe that OpenDoor is one of the biggest turnaround stories in the next couple of months, okay? Now, with that said, let's also talk about one more thing. I believe that you should always have a short-term portfolio because short-term, the market goes up and down and you can make money on the way up as well as the way down. So that's why my vision 4 years ago was essential and the results were absolutely stellar over the last 4 years. And the vision I had is day trading profits made by professionals, all done for you. You just switch on our software and the rest is done for you. You watch your portfolio grow. We have like not 10, 100, 1,000 testimonials. So make sure to schedule a call because we have just limited spaces this month before we're raising our joining fee. It might be over a period at some point that you can afford it. So make sure to check it out now. And now let's dive into the clip of Kaz, the CEO, and what he actually says.
Most of OpenDoor's critics will argue iBuying doesn't work. It's a broken model. Everyone else has failed. They've seen competitors pull out of the market. Doesn't matter how good you are as an operator. Doesn't matter how good of a team that you assemble. Just bad business model. Doesn't work. What's your response?
I mean, they're just wrong. They're just wrong about the math. Look, I think there's two things that need to be said. One, if you ignore the era of poor management decisions, OpenDoor was unit economic positive on its core iBuying model for most of its life, like just objectively true. But you also need to think about what the business model should be. Look, I think, and I said on our earnings call, the job of OpenDoor, our mission is to tilt the world towards homeowners and people working hard to become homeowners. But that's our job. And if someone shows up to you and says, hey, I want to transact with you once and never again, the odds are you would call that person a carny, right? The good business models aren't built that way, right? Mm-hmm. You want a business model that's built on mutual trust over a very long period of time. Mm-hmm. And luckily for OpenDoor, a home is literally the basis for that for most people. Mm-hmm. So OpenDoor's business model is, yes, we want to be the best place you can buy a house or sell a house. We want to give you fair offers and sell homes at a fair price and have very thin margin doing that compared to what everyone else has. And we're going to be profitable off just that. But we also have opportunity to attach things to home: mortgage, warranty, insurance. And I've said we're going to launch our mortgage products. I actually announced it a couple of weeks ago that we're going to build the first AI native mortgage product.
What does that mean?
In America, it means you're going to be able to buy a house and get a mortgage without talking to a human being, without having to send us a bunch of forms via email, without faxing us things. We'll be able to buy a home and get a mortgage on it the way you buy a car and get a lease on it from Tesla.
You know what's interesting is I've been an investor in Figure Technologies for a long time. And one of the things that they really opened my eyes to was this idea of, for HELOCs, you could basically come in. And I think, if I remember correctly, they would tell you within like 5 hours, if you were going to get within 5 minutes, whether you were going to get the HELOC or not. And they would fund it within like 5 days. And so because they had some part of their business associated with blockchain, people were like, how does the blockchain do that? And then when you would go and you actually understand the product, it's like, no, you just use things like Plaid to look in a bank account and understand how much money somebody makes and where they were, all these different data points that to me feel like a much more modern underwriting. What you're talking about is not just kind of the plumbing or infrastructure of the underwriting. You're actually talking about the interface for people to talk with the, mortgage lender is all going to be kind of AI driven.
Look, when I was at Shopify, we built a small business, unsecured small business lending product. product that a small business could come click a button and get funded the next day. It didn't exist. We built it. And people are like, well, how do you underwrite it? How do you get credit scores? I'm like, why do I need a credit score to underwrite a small business?
I have their payment data.
It just sounds insane. Like, I think traditional underwriting is just deeply flawed and deeply broken. And when you go into like a mortgage factory today, it is not that different than how it would have been run, honestly, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's basically the same structure, same people, same processes. This is why the average mortgage costs over $10,000 to produce. Mm-hmm. That doesn't have to be that way. Let me give you a very large part of our cost structure at OpenDoor is a number of days that the house sits on our balance sheet before we can sell it to you. Mm-hmm. You said you want to buy a house. You've gone to one of our homes in Dallas, Texas. You're like, you want to buy it. You've done the online checkout. We have to wait a month or two sometimes for the mortgage to get funded. Well, if we run our own mortgage business, that month can go down to 8 days, or 2 could go down to 8 days. That's a lot of waste in the system that we're paying for, and you don't get a house you want. So imagine you want to buy our house. We can buy your house, give you a mortgage, and the entire thing can be done in days rather than months.
So to understand OpenDoor, I think one of the things that I've gotten, as you and I have talked, I've got an understanding of is explain what you did at Shopify in terms of looking at the relationship between the company and the merchant, and then the financial services and the products that you built around that relationship. Because I think that although they're different businesses, the model is somewhat similar here.
I think they're very similar. The model is very similar. Look, I've always been more fascinated by the first derivative of the business model rather than the core business model. I think it's actually the most interesting companies in the history of the world are built on the first derivative. Let me give you an example. The Union Railroad, Pennsylvania Railroad. People are like, hey, they lay down rails. They make money from freight. No, they make money from selling the land around the stations to towns and businesses, right? First derivative business model. McDonald's with Coke or land. Even better, Google with ads. Like I search, the first derivative of search is ad interest. The first derivative business model is almost always the more interesting one for large businesses. Apple, App Store. Like this is a very real thing, right? So the question is when I got to Shopify had a business that was mostly SaaS, great business, just generally great business. But the first derivative of that business model is transactions that occur on Shopify stores and work they create. So if you run a small business and you sell something, you need someone to underwrite that, the transaction payments. You need someone to fund it for you. You need someone to pay the taxes. You need someone to calculate your shipping rates, all that stuff. Now, all this stuff typically gets done by third parties. Right? So you own a small business, you have an accountant, you'd have a tax guy, you have a shipping guy, you have all these other people that you're feeding. And our thesis at Shopify was that sucks. It sucks that in order to sell shoes, I need to know an accountant, a loan guy, a tax guy, a shipping guy, and I have to pay all these people like as though they're on my pay. It's just terrible. It's a bad experience for everyone. And they don't know my business, so they gave me generic advice, and I have to overpay them because they're third parties. So our logic was, hey, can we solve those problems? And the answer was, it turned out to be financially incredibly fruitful for Shopify. Today, 75% of Shopify's revenue comes from services, not software.
So as you can see here, the main product is obviously the house. But then it's also the question, what we can do about mortgage? What we can do about the surroundings of the product? He mentioned a couple of things like McDonald's, okay? Obviously, the main business is burgers, right? Or fast food in general. But they also bought all the properties where they put their franchisees on. So with that, it's actually absolutely insane because it's something that many people underestimate. And I think Cass is really interested into that because he did something in Shopify which is quite interesting, right? He created the platform that helps you with the accounting, with the shipping cost and calculates it, makes the fulfillment easier and everything. So this should be like buying and selling a home should be like a mouse click for everyone, and OpenDoor make this happen. It's actually, the business is wonderful. They just have to get to profitability, which I think they will come this year. So don't miss it and make sure to stay tuned because I'm posting every single day a video about OpenDoor, okay? Now, with that said, also check out xnDayTrade.com. If you haven't, first link into the description, first link into the comments, and I see you obviously tomorrow because the grass is greener always on the other side.